If you enjoy the game and culture of basketball, you're in the right place. I'm Emmanuel Shine and this is Fast Break, a platform that covers the game internationally and locally by engaging in thought-provoking and unfiltered conversations. I am not alone. Fast Break is made up of a diverse group of panelists, and every month we get together to discuss the game and everything surrounding it. Stick around. Our passion, your entertainment.
Welcome to Fast Break SA. We bring you all things basketball, local, national, continental, as well as internationally. My name is Lebesa Selepe, and I'm sitting alongside Breeze D, as well as Shine Bright Like a Diamond, Emmanuel. Welcome, guys. How you guys doing on the show today?
First of all, I just want to say it's my first time this year and I'm excited.
I don't know if I can match Slapper's energy, man. There's an energy coming there from the Tigers that's aggressive, man. I'm good, bro. How you doing?
Hey, it's all in the jersey, bro.
Energy.
It's all in the jersey. It's all in the jersey.
It's time to gear up. Now that they know the skills and stuff like that, eat, sleep, gear. All you are is a Tiger, nothing else.
Well, talking about Tigers and the Now Conference, I mean, the Basketball Africa League just recently released the conferences, and we know now the split between the two teams, and we're going to jump straight into it with the Sahara Conference. That will be kickstarting on the 11th of March in Dakar, Senegal again, running for 10 days until the 21st of March. And we're going to go at it alphabetically, and I want to know from my co-panelists what you guys think these teams will fare. You know, alphabetical order, demands that we start with Abidjan Basketball Club, the Ivorians. They came through and hosted the Elite 16 West Division. They actually won that division. And I mean, they playing in their first season of Basketball Africa League, but they road to BLL was not easy. They beat AS Saleh, they beat Bangui Sporting Club, they beat Slack, they beat Stade Mali, and this is a team that you cannot look down on. I mean, how do you think they will fare, Brian?
Hey man, look, the teams you mentioned aren't any scrubs, right? You mentioned some proper teams there, and some teams that have made teams that are experienced, that have been in the BAL consecutively, right? Since it began, they've been there consistently and they've done well. So I think if you can match up against those guys, get your reps against them, even in your first season, and still kind of, you know, be competitive and still qualify. I don't know if I'll say that they'll make it all the way or, you know, make a deep run, it being their first season. I think you play some games with all these other teams and you get your reps in, but once you're in the bubble, for instance, or wherever if you're in Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda, and that's where it's happening, it's a different ball game now. You know, you have to be away for a while, you have to be with your teammates for a while, and that's kind of where they don't have that experience versus where the Tigers might have and all those kinds of things. So I'm not sure.
They still have to get through the car to get to Kigali, so I mean, it's have that confidence for them getting to Kigali, but it's still a mountain to climb.
So when they finish, do you have them going through the group stages and making it all the way to Kigali?
So, I mean, based on what they've done to get to where they are now, you cannot write them out. But I mean, also they're going against some heavy hitters. Stade Malien is not, even though they've beaten them, it's not their first time, and you know they're going up against the defending champions. You know, Monastir. It's also not going to be easy. Like we just have to. I think they might make the top 4 and find their way in Kigali later on, but it's still too early to tell. But based on what I've seen in the qualifiers late last year, they're definitely going there, and it's just going to be interesting to see what additions they bring.
And we keep moving. Kwakwa Falcons from Nigeria. They're one of the 6 teams that do not need to go through the qualification road to BAL. They play in their first season of Basketball Africa League, and they are there purely because they are Nigerian champions. Shine, you can kickstart this one. Where do you see these guys finishing?
So I mean, Nigeria is obviously known for basketball, and it doesn't mean that it's an easy league, but I just feel it would have been a bit more deserving, so to say, if they had gone through the qualifications and like the other teams would in the different conferences, in the different zones for that matter. Because then they would have had that exposure, like you mentioned, how ABC had to be Stade Malien and the other teams who they're going to meet eventually. So they got that international exposure on who they're potentially going to play. But I mean, also hearing this about any Nigerian team is they're not short of talent, first and foremost.
Yeah.
They're going to find that talent. Probably the talent is already where it needs to be. I just don't know, like, I would rank them slightly below ABC simply because they didn't have to go through qualifiers, and they're not a Monastir or Petro de Luanda or whatever, but I just don't think they have that pedigree just yet.
So on that, Shine, sorry, Slepper, to steal your mic. In terms of that pedigree, right, we have been saying that they're coming from the Nigerian league and all that. I mean, like you said, it's a big league that side. I don't know if I agree that they haven't gotten their reps in. I mean, obviously not having, again, first season inexperience and all that, but obviously you qualify how you qualify, right? It's no one can take that away from them. You can't really be against them for that. And I kind of agree. Without the reps, without the experience, without having to go through the road, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. There's no way they will know what they're about to face because they haven't had the reps. But in Nigeria, in terms of basketball, they can jam. they can make it. They can jam.
And I mean, also in terms of finance, for them to bring in other players, other Nigerian players for that matter, who are playing abroad. And we've seen the many Nigerian players in the NBA, in the NBL, and also in Europe. So I don't think that they don't have that, but I'm just saying, I wish they had that extra bit of competition, you know, because like you said, it's not a returning team like your Petro who have gone through the works and they've played through the ranks. This is their first time, so they could be overwhelmed by everything.
Slap, before you go too far, I want to find out from you, obviously having experienced it and that, would you say that naturally experience, it's always better to have an experience, but also at the same time, it being your first time there, you having nothing to lose, do you feel that gives team, for instance, with Cape Town Tigers, when it was your first time there and you had qualified, do you think it gave you guys a whole lot more confidence that, you know, we're here now, we've never been here before, but we're here to compete, and us being here, we want to give it everything we have, without the experience, but we still want to compete?
Do you know the only teams that had the advantage of your first BAL experience, and it doesn't really matter, were the teams that played in 2021 because it was everybody's first time. You could see last year in the second season, teams that are going for their first season and teams that are there for their second season were miles ahead. I mean, that's why as Cape Town Tigers, we struggled against Zamalek, we struggled against Pedro because it was our first time being at that stage. It's just different, Brian. You know, it's basketball like you've never seen it before, and unfortunately, it's single elimination. You know, you lose in a play. You have 5 group games. If you don't win the 3 or 4 games that you need to make it to Kigali, that's it. End of the road. So it makes a huge difference in my humble opinion.
I hear you. Now go ahead.
So now, I mean, let's just steamroll through the rest of the teams in the Sahara Conference. There's Stadium Malien. They came through the West Division as 3rd place. There's AS Donis, who are the Senegalese champions. They'll be playing in their second Basketball Africa League season. There's as well as Rwanda Energy Group, the hosts of the playoffs. They see themselves in the Sahara Conference. And of course, we close off the Sahara Conference with the defending champions, US Monastir. I mean, guys, I've given you 4 teams. I've given you 6 teams. Only 4 of them can make the trip to Kigali. And I want to know from you guys who you think that will shine.
I think it's unanimous. First of all, the defending champions are going through.
100%.
And I think
so
Rwanda Energy Group, that's the team Jacob played for, if I'm not mistaken. Look, they're good. I think they're good enough to go through, especially having seen the players they had in the previous year when they qualified. I've got this ABC going through, and then the last one is obviously it's a bit touch and go for me because I want to say the Senegalese team simply because I mean we're talking basketball and it's Senegal for that matter, and they're home. They're going to have that advantage of their fans. So I'll put them just slightly above Stade Malien. And I mean, this doesn't mean I'm disrespecting the Nigerian team or anything like that, but this is just what I think based on what I've seen. I haven't seen the Nigerian team play at BAL yet.
Shine, you already disrespected the Nigerian team. Look, I have to agree with you. I really do have to agree with all of those teams you have there. Especially, look, if you're the defending champions, you're the favorite every single time until you're dethroned. That's just how the rules work.
Exactly.
You know, there's no other way about it. You just won. You've had the best experience, the best, most recent experience, obviously having played what everybody else played, but succeeding. No one else has that part of it. And they obviously want to taste it again, and that comes with the hunger. ABC one, bro. Hey, man.
I mean, ABC are the West Division champions. So, everybody's going to say ABC is going to make it through to Kigali. I cannot disagree with them because they were looking really, really solid in the West Division.
And the West Division wasn't easy also.
What happens a lot is once a team sees what they need, they go out and get it. They go out and see what the rules are, who we can go and bring in from the States, who we can attract, or whatever it is, where we can find players. Once they see that one missing piece, and that's what's great about the BAL, right? It's obviously great to know things as and when they happen, but once the league starts, you never know who's going to be playing, and you never know how much higher the level has gone. But I'm quite confident that the teams that didn't do all that well last year, they are busy leveling up just as far as the roster is concerned alone. They're just trying to get better and compete as far as adding additionals.
So now we talk about this conference that's touted as the conference of death, the Now conference. They've got Al Ahly. Al Ahly are the Egyptian champions, also hosting. They just defeated Zamalek 3-2 in the Egyptian playoffs in the finals. We've got City Oilers of Uganda. We saw them in the East Division right here in South Africa. They finished third, beating Urunani in the third and fourth playoff game. We've got Cape Town Tigers. We have Cape Town Tigers going into their second season of Basketball Africa League. Looking to go one better. We know that they lost in the quarterfinals last year against the eventual champion US Monastir. We've got Ferroviário de Beira, neighboring country from Mozambique. They also came through the East Division. Pedro de Luanda and Slack will close off the Now conference. I mean, this is a conference that you cannot separate these teams, in my humble opinion, because it is so close. I mean, it's really, really close. Sheena, you would know because you saw three of these teams competing in the East Division right here in South Africa.
So, for me, and this is no disrespect to anybody first and foremost, but
Keep
if you
saying
take me back just up to BAL, I would have put Petro de Luanda, for example, miles ahead of the Cape Town Tigers, even though it was your first outing. But then having seen how you guys played, the Cape Town Tigers played Luanda in Johannesburg, there was the two games. One was very controversial. The loss to the Tigers suffered was very controversial, you know. Again, power to the ref, you know, whatever it is. Then in the return game, I believe it was behind closed doors, the result was different. As much as it may have been a friendly, but I mean, these are competitors. They're not just coming out to just enjoy a friendly game. I mean, you don't travel from Luanda to Johannesburg just to enjoy a friendly game. So you can't really separate the two. However, just like Brian said about US Monastir, how they are the champions and therefore they are favorites. Petro was runner-up, you know, so they're still there. And I think this puts a chip on like the Cape Town Tiger shoulder. Al Ahly, for example, however, they defeated a BAL champion in Zamalek. This is not easy, first of all. And it's not a one and done game where it was like they had one good game and that was it. In a 5-game series. You know what I mean? So they've got some serious pedigree there. And it might be too soon to tell, but I'm just saying, I watched City Oilers play and man, they've got ballers. There's a guy he dropped 18 points in the third quarter against the Tigers. As a team, Tigers are just better than the Tigers. That man was on fire. Headband, bald, beard. Reminded me of like a young LeBron James, but just without the head. So you've got those teams, and for me, I like Beira, but I think they lacked a bit of depth, especially if I remember the ball qualifiers. And I mean, I don't think Tigers are pushing at their best against them in the final of the Road to Ball. And still, Tigers just looked like they were running over them. So, favorites for me, I would say no particular order, but I'm choosing an order. And maybe, first of all, Petro de Luanda, just because they're the runner-up. And for my own bias, and because I've had the opportunity to watch the team train, play, and I've trained with some of the players a lot recently, Cape Town Tigers. And then City Oilers. And Beira, just because I think, yeah, man, why not? You know.
So Al Ahly doesn't make it out the group phases for you?
I'm so interested in that.
You know what, actually, I'm so sorry. I thought I mentioned them. But not down 2 and 4.
Nah, Shine just beginning his own messed up.
I'm so sorry. This is basketball blasphemy, and I take it back.
Them out. I'm like, the Egyptian champs, my brother.
In my mind, I'd already counted them. I'm sorry. The Egyptian, first of all, Petro de Luanda and Cape Town Tigers for my own selfish reasons. And right next to them, I'll put Al Ahly. And then, this is where it becomes difficult. But I'll say Beira over City Oilers because Beira beat City Oilers. You know, it just is what it is.
Slepper has your files, boy. That's why you're so adamant to give Tigers number 2. He knows the secret. Look, I want to right now. Yeah, you're about to say. Look, I don't want to hold on to this for too long, right? But I there's no way I can count out the Egyptian. Like those guys are beating some serious team. They knocked out Zamalek, who were serious. Obviously, it was one season and they won the first season when people were still trying to get their reps in. But that team is good, bro. That team is solid. They look like they have all the pieces they need. I could even put them at number 1, bro. I don't know how you have them at 3. I could maybe slide them
Are
at
you saying this? You're a Carlos Moraes fan and you're saying this. This is the...
dog, it hurts me. I think my boy Pedro. No, they're number 2. I just think that having beaten defending champs and the Egyptian club every season.
Selepe went neutral now. Took off the...
This guy is with the changing champ. Wait, what's this guy doing for the next topic? I made it for the next topic. That's crazy. So yeah, I think I'll go with the Egyptian champs first. I think it's gonna be Petro. It's gonna be my boy Carlos Moraes, man. It's gonna be my dog. Then I'll give it to Tigers, huh? Then I'll give it to Tigers by virtue of, like you said, Shine. Tigers have been getting their reps in. Tigers have been obviously getting better and better every season. Not even just by virtue of the roster, just chemistry, bro. The team seems to be getting and understanding each other. And also we have a bias simply because we see them a whole lot more than being our own.
And they have a returning coach also. And
they have a returning coach, right? There's not been a lot of adjustments from last year on that end, maybe on the roster, but I like how much better they've gone every single season, and based on that, I don't have any reason to think they won't keep that up. I think the Cape Town Tigers will keep improving, the Cape Town Tigers will keep getting better and better, and sort of stitching it together and figuring it out. And I really have them. I have Snapper them taking a real push. It's pretty serious for me. That's the 3 I can go. As far as the Oilers are there, I don't see enough to give a proper opinion.
Bro, if you remember the road to Bar last year, Beira was wounded. The starting point guard Perry didn't play much.
I remember that. Perry, a small guy with a big game. Yeah, Perry was a small guy with the biggest game. That guy brought down some points. I remember we watched him at one of those games. Go ahead, Slip.
So now we wrap it up. I just want one team. Emmanuel Shine, who are going to be the 2023 Basketball African League champions? No justification, just say a team.
Petro de Luanda.
I'm going. That's my dog. Shine has been my boy, bro. That's my guy. That's him. They're my people. They're my people. I think they're gonna be. Carlos is my guy. I need him to be one guy.
Now I know who my friends are.
Now you don't have my file. You don't have nothing on me.
All right, gentlemen. We move on. We're gonna go across the pond. We're going to go across the pond and talk all things.
That's it from us for this month's episode. Thanks for watching, listening, and being a part of this conversation. Don't keep it to yourself though. Share it with your friends and family, and let's all engage on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle is @FastBreakSA. To keep up with our latest episodes, be sure to subscribe. Thanks again, and we'll see you next month. Our passion, your entertainment.